you can't use your past relationship with money and your relationship with money now to color those target clients' experience with you. And so I would really like you to, look at the marketing stuff that we just talked about, go deep into that, see how you can use all of that. But also let's look at this pricing and let's see if you can be brave enough to set yourself apart financially, because luxury clients, people who are affluent, people who have multiple homes, people who have all the designer shoes and the designer bags, they're not attracted to that low offer. They're not.
Welcome to Tried and True with a Dash of Woo, where we're all about mixing tried and true strategies that actually work with the magic of manifestation and the science of programming your unconscious mind so that you walk away feeling integrated, inspired, and aligned. I'm Renee Bowen, certified life and business coach, professional photographer, middle-aged wife, and mom to now 3 grown kids. I've built 2 multiple 6-figure businesses with 0 business training by digging in, learning the methods, and now I'm here to pass them all on to you. From photography and business strategies to energy healing, human design, and the basics of manifestation, we cover it all here. I'm here to help you embrace your multi-passionate brains and lean into the fastest and most efficient ways to reach your goals, whatever they may be. Whether you're a seasoned pro or just starting out, or maybe you're just here for the woo-woo, let's dive in and explore all the exciting ways to take your life, business, and self-improvement to the next level. Thanks for joining me, and get ready to be inspired. Hello. Welcome back to the show. Thanks again for joining me here again on Tried and True with a Dash of Woo. So today we've got something a little different for y'all. I have really wanted to do some coaching call podcasts where I feature specific coaching calls because there's a lot of stuff that you guys are just universally dealing with, I find. So today's call specifically is about pricing, and so it is going to be geared toward my photographer friends. This is from a recent call I had with my Elevate group. So it is from a group call, but I've taken 3 snippets that I felt were really valuable for, you'll see what I'm talking about, but really valuable pretty much across the board, and not just dealing with pricing and some logistics and some strategy, but also a very big heaping dose of get out of your own way and mindset, and not just, glossing over that. It's actually me coaching these 3 people, these 3 photographers through these issues that they have been dealing with. And this is why they're there, right? So I believe that you guys are all going to get something from this, whether you're a photographer or not, to be honest, because we talk a little bit about strategy, but some of the things that I talk about can be really thought of in other forms of business, other types of entrepreneurship, things like that. And in general, it's a lot of mindset. Like I said, it's about clearing these blocks so that you can actually get what you want and feel worthy enough to raise your prices. Because the theme today is just that, basically. Each of these photographers is dealing with some kind of block around their pricing. Okay. And let me preface this as well, that you are going to hear me doing most of the talking and the coaching in these clips, because what we've done is we've taken the best part of each of their portions, because this happened, like I said, during an Elevate group coaching call, and I was doing hot seats. A hot seat, if you're not really aware of what that is when I go around and I pick on everybody and I make them tell me what they're going through and what they are dealing with, what kind of issue is top of mind for them. Because a lot of people I found in my group programs, not everybody will step forward. Okay. And you are there for a reason. So every now and then I like to have hot seats where I go around and I actually call on you and ask you what's going on. And so that is what the culmination of this call is. I've basically taken these 3 clips. We've combined the best parts to make it very concise for you, the listener, so that you don't have to listen to all of the stuff in between. And I've also made it so that you can't tell who is asking what, because I do like keeping the anonymity of these photographers intact, right? They are there in a private group with me to ask for assistance, but you don't need to know who they are, right? You don't need to know their names. If they are comfortable sharing that, that is up to them. But for this purpose of this podcast, you are going to just hear me give my response to the question. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to let you guys know, first off, what their issue is, what their question was to me. I will frame that for you guys so that you know the context to my answer. And then you're going to hear my answer to them in real time. All right. So this first photographer, her main issue is that she knows she needs to raise her prices, but she's in this very weird gray area, right? Where she is not super low, but she is not luxury priced. And that is a very dangerous place to be. It's that gray area. So we're going to lead off with that. You'll hear me speak to that and why that is and why that's not a good idea, the psychology behind it, and also some other stuff as well. And she's also dealing with a lot of limiting beliefs when it comes to what she, quote unquote, can charge, right? There's a lot of issues with worth. Also, she comes from a very small area, like a small town. And so there's a lot of her perception on what people actually can afford. Although she does self-report that there are wealthy people. There are people who do, pay for second homes and things like that not too far from where she lives. So we kind of dive into a little bit of all of this, and you'll understand once I kind of start speaking to her what she really, kind of took away from this. So here we go.
You're in that gray area, right? So you're either like, as a photographer, and then especially in smaller areas, I find, especially like you guys in rural areas like that, and across the board, to be honest with you, because there's so much saturation everywhere. You're either super low level, like you said, like unsustainable. They're burning themselves out, shooting for like, $50, blah, blah, blah. You're either there or you are over $1,000, you're selling products. There's a high, this middle ground that you're kind of in, that's tough. Because you are not setting yourself up high enough to be like, no, I am the shit. And this is why. Yeah. You're like, I want to be the shit, but I'm afraid. That's a hard place to be in because you don't believe it. Right. So this I
can't see it. Like I can't visualize it happening in any capacity.
I know. Okay. So you kind of have to make it up because you can't see it. Like you kind of have to be delusional, be delulu about it. Because that is what's going to pull you through the next level. And I'm only saying this because I've been there myself. Like this is where I was too. Okay. I was in that area. I was in that gray area and I really wasn't making any money. Right. I was burning myself out. I was all that stuff. Right. And so for me personally, I had to get to the place where I was like, F this. I would rather go work at Starbucks. I'm done. I'm exhausted. I never see my kids. I'm not making any money. This is bullshit. I had to get with myself angry enough to be like, what are you doing? And also obviously I had to know how to do that. Right. But that's why you're here. So I did the same thing. I had to learn from someone, how do I actually do this and pull it off? Once I restructured my pricing and it put me in a completely different level. And I remember my husband, some of you guys have heard this story. My husband even said, he's like, you're going to price yourself out. No one is going to pay over $1,000 for photos. What are you crazy? And it's not that he doesn't believe in me. He believes in me more than anybody. He, like me, couldn't see it because we would never pay that for photos. Okay. I would never pay somebody $5,000, $6,000, $7,000, $10,000 for images, but I have clients who pay me that all the time. But I had to get to a place where I believed that other people would pay me for that. I wouldn't do it because I can freaking do it, but I would pay for other services gladly because I can't do those things. So you are not your target client. It starts with us vibing with our clients. They have to vibe with your energy, right? They have to vibe with who you are. That's why we always talk about being authentic, but that's kind of where it ends. They're not you. They're not if you are continuing to market to people who are like you are going to stay in that low income area because that's where you are here. And so you have to get to this place where it's no, screw it. I am going to do this. And the price alone will set you apart. And it, like, you have the work to back it up. I wouldn't be telling you this if you were a crappy photographer. You have to also understand that you'll probably never believe that you are the shit, right? Like, that's just not how we're like taught and raised. Right. And we're also artists. We're hard on ourselves. So, you know, especially when we're looking at images over and over again, like at the end of that session, I could be super jazzed about it. At the end of it, I'm like, oh, these suck. You know, like to this day. So it really is one of those things that you just have to know, I'm not ever going to get past that. But you can't use your past relationship with money and your relationship with money now to color those target clients' experience with you. And so I would really like you to, you know, look at the marketing stuff that we just talked about, go deep into that, see how you can use all of that. But also let's look at this pricing and let's see if you can be brave enough to set yourself apart financially, because luxury clients, people who are affluent, people who have multiple homes, people who have all the designer shoes and the designer bags, they're not attracted to that low offer. They're not. They're going to look at that low offer and they're going to think it's not worth it because of the price. The reason why those other people who are not as good photographers as you, who are commanding that price, is because they're delusional enough to believe that it's worth it. And they're marketing to that higher end client. And those clients vibe with that price. They're like, ooh, it must be worth it. So sadly, that is the way psychology works. You know, people who are going to go out and buy a Mercedes are not like, they're not going to nickel and dime. You know, they're used to like texting the guy at Mercedes. This is how I buy my cars every 3 years. I'm like, I want this car. And he's like, okay, that's how you do it. You don't go into a dealership and haggle when you are at a certain price point. So think about that. Obviously, hop in the group. Let me know what you need as you go through it. But I want you to just ask yourself that question. What would it be like if I raised my prices significantly? What would that be like? If you want a massive shift in your life, you have to create some pretty big changes. You have to take like inspired massive action. What are you putting out? Right? What are you putting out? What is that radio beacon putting out? If you're putting out, well, I'm just going to safely raise my prices, then you are going to safely get that. You're going to keep getting like bits and pieces and crumbs from the universe. But if you tell it, I'm ready for more, God damn it. I know I'm good enough. I know I still have some crap to overcome. I know that I have to like believe in myself more, but I deserve to make more money than this. And I know I'm worth it. And I would like this to happen. That is what you're going to get back. But you have to do it. You have to like make a bold statement. It does work. It's scary as shit, but it does work. You got this.
All right. So first of all, sorry about the audio quality. Obviously, this is from a Zoom call, so it's not going to be as perfect as my regular podcast, but I thought the content was important enough to share with you guys because, again, these are things that are pretty universal, and I know you guys can take a lot away from this. Those of you who are photographers, whether you're a senior photographer, a wedding photographer, whether you shoot various niches and genres, you know, and also even if you just run a different type of creative business, I really think that this conversation of worth and why you actually believe that script, you know, this is an important conversation because I want you to be successful. Of course, I want you to be profitable, but I want you to be your version of successful, whatever that is for you. And most of y'all are running yourselves into the ground. You're working your butts off for pennies because you think that people can't afford you. And that is not true. Okay. So I hope you got a lot out of that one. So this next photographer is somewhat in a similar headspace, but a little bit different. So she sort of starts off her questions to me. First of all, she's having a little bit of, you know, she feels kind of stuck in her business. She also feels like she's caught in a lot of comparison constantly, which I know a lot of you guys can also identify with because I do hear that a lot. And I totally get it. I get it. But she leads with that, and then she sort of kind of segues into pricing and all of that as well, because she has some wealthy clients who don't pay her what, you know, she really should be making. But most of that reason is because she's not asking for it. So a lot of this has to do with, how do I get my clients to grow with me? How do I get them to understand? And how do I get them to see my value? And how do I really, stand in that confidence and ask for the sale? How do I actually show up for my business and see what is possible and understand that I'm giving way too much away? I'm spending half a day with a family and I'm making, less than $1,000 or right over $1,000, and averaged over time. That's just truly not enough when you really look at what it takes for that session to happen, the amount of hours, the amount of time, the amount of editing, all of those things we know. So if you guys haven't done that audit of yourselves, by the way, if you haven't sat down and counted every single hour that you spend with each client and then average that out with what your sale is, you really need to do that, because a lot of y'all are just making a lot less than you probably think you are. So we definitely talk about that. But again, we come back to this belief and this worth, but with a little bit of a different spin. So here we go.
I mean, people will do what you ask them to do at the end of the day. You know what I mean? And people will pay for what they value. And in this case, definitely. So first of all, you definitely should be charging to go to San Francisco. I mean, like 100%, it should be an additional charge if they want to go somewhere like that. That is a whole day. That is like a whole half day of your life, and to only make $1,100 maybe, that's a $4,000 day. So first of all, your pricing definitely should be shifted. People will pay for what you tell them they will pay. Right. And they either pay it or they don't. And so this is one of those clients that, yes, even though they've been with you for a long time, you may need to get real with them and be like, okay, look, I love you guys. I love what we do here, but I have to shift some things in my business. And you can say, I've got a business coach this year and I am literally not sustainable. I am not we have gone through my numbers. I am not going to be able to stay in business. So I am raising my prices, and I love you guys, and I hope you stay with me, and I appreciate your business, but my prices are going to be different this year. I would love to give you a 10% discount on everything for being a loyal customer to me, but they are going up significantly. And this is what it looks like. 9 times out of 10, they're going to be like, absolutely, you should be making more money. Yeah. You just have to communicate with them. You have to hold the images hostage more. So, for me, my digital, I offer digital collections, but they are $275 an image, or you have to go up to 10.
Wow.
And then when you go up to 10, it's $1,750. Okay. Wow. So even on my mini sessions, I'm making $2,000 on a mini session. What? So I don't have to do 50 mini sessions. I'm not ever going to do that. Yeah. So yeah, I'm working less, but I'm making more money. So the people and I want to circle back to what you said in the very beginning of this. My client is not wealthy. Yeah. My client is not wealthy. Yeah. My client is middle class to slightly upper middle class. Yeah. I do have sprinklings of very wealthy people because it's LA. I just had a family who booked me in 2019, and they just booked me again for another full session, not a mini session, but we go out to the beach. The first session they bought $7,000, and this time they bought $5,000. So I do have those clients, but my pricing is structured in a way that is what it is. It is business. Then they know that going in, I have minimums, and my job on the other side of that minimum is to sell them into something far greater than that minimum. That is sales. So you have to psychologically structure your pricing in a way that leads them to where you want them to go, but also where they want to go. And it's always a yes, and you can absolutely have that. It's this is how much it is. You have to not be afraid for this, to ask for the money. That's really what it comes down to. And so when I went back and I changed my pricing, I was talking about years ago, that was really huge for me. I used to want to throw up thinking about that. I was very, 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 very afraid to ask people for money. I didn't feel comfortable doing it. It felt gross. I felt oh my God, my work sucks. Who do I think I am? Blah, 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 blah. And I had to really do that inner work on myself. And, it took me to some places I didn't necessarily want to go to internally because I thought I had worked on all that shit in therapy. Obviously I didn't, because as humans, we instinctively equate worth with money. always. So if you are feeling unworthy in any way, you are going to equate it with, I am not worth the money. That's just how your brain works. Yeah. So you got to get at the heart of why that worth is, that unworthiness feeling is happening, and fix that shit. Because the good news is that you don't have to carry that anymore. First of all, it's looking deep. It's being willing to do the darker work. It's the shadow work. It's going deep into your unconscious and your childhood and looking at your childhood and doing the why work. Pull up the why work, the PDF that makes you go, what were those moments of my childhood that really sucked? You know, like being willing to go into these darker places and go, yeah, that happened. It is what it is. Don't look at it with judgment. Don't go beat yourself up, because that's our first instinct, but just recognize that these things occurred as a child. Usually before the age of 7 is where we get stuck. All that stuff is stuck. It's something that was written against your will. Like you didn't ask for it, but it happened. Now you do have a choice. You do have a choice to rewire it. So the first thing is figuring out what that is. Being willing to look at it. There's a lot of ways you can do it. You can meditate. You can use hypnosis. You can use somatic therapy, like move your body. You can like tapping. Tapping is really big. There's a lot of modalities that will bring you to open up to it. And it just depends on the person, on, you know, like what your level is. But sometimes it's just journaling. For me, it's just brain dumping and journaling. It's like, oh, that's what that is. And it'll drop into me like when I'm on a walk. I'm like, oh yeah, that, you know, being intentional with your thoughts, being intentional with like, I want to know where this is coming from, because I am ready to move through it. And it's not about glossing over it and going, okay, that happened, I'm just going to get over it. No, it's about making peace with it and moving through it and using it as fuel to get you to where you want to go, because it's part of your story, but you can rewrite it. Yeah. And when you do, so let's get a little quantum woo here. Time is not linear. It's not linear. We know that now. Yeah. Quantum physics has told us it's all happening at the same time. That's why I love that saying, it's all happening. And I don't love it just because it's from one of my favorite movies. It really is all happening, right? So that version of you where that program was installed, that little you, she's still there. She's still living that existence. So when you do this intentional work now, you are healing that version of yourself back in time, because it's all happening now. You can absolutely go back to these parts in your life and you can say, yeah, that sucked. That sucked. That was not an ideal situation. I want to heal this. I want to move through it. I'm going to make peace with it. Look at it through the lens of a security camera. Put it in black and white. Remove yourself from it. Get neutral. Because when it's right here, you cannot heal. You are in fight or flight. So get out of it a little bit and say, oh, that's interesting. There's a lot of shit that we pick up, is my point. And the first step is really looking at it with honesty and bravery. You know, and you will do it when you're ready. Like now, if it's a big trauma, work with a therapist. Like don't go there by yourself. But like most of us can kind of do some of this work on our own and with a coach. So do that and then use some hypnosis to rewire it. Your unconscious mind is just trying to keep you safe with this worth stuff, this like not raising your price. And this goes for anybody who is not feeling worthy enough to raise their prices. It's just because your unconscious mind thinks that it is safe, because you've never done it. It's unfamiliar. It's like, it is perceived danger. When you think about raising your prices, you immediately go to, no one's going to like me. I'm not worthy. I suck. Right. Mm-hmm. It's a rejection of some kind. And so it all is tied to fear. If we want to just break it down to its basic core, it is just fear. And all fear is I don't want to die. Well, your unconscious is just trying to keep you alive. So if you can look at it and say, okay, I see what you're doing here. I get you. Thank you for keeping me alive. Thank you for getting me to 53 years of life. This is awesome. We're not doing that anymore. We're safe. I got this. I'm in the driver's seat now. You're dismissed. Go ahead, get in the back seat. Like do whatever kind of visualization you need to do to make that happen. But you are the one in control, not your unconscious mind. Because left to its own devices, your unconscious mind is going to keep you stuck right where you are, because it is safe. There is no effort required for you to stay there. Your conscious mind is where you want to be. You want to be the one in control. Like, no, I want something better, bigger, more. And I'm asking for that. So you really have to just be intentional with those thoughts. It is not going to happen overnight, but it does happen faster than you think it does. I will tell you that. There is one called Hypnosis Tracks, and there's a Dropbox link that brings you to some hypnosis tracks. Play with those. Hypnosis is weird at first. It's going to feel weird. You don't have to participate in hypnosis. That's the fun part. You just kind of tune out. You just like, whatever, because I'm working on your unconscious mind on there. And so most of the people that I work with who do the hypnosis say that after they've done it for like a couple of months, right? They're like, all of a sudden, this is not so charged. All of a sudden, like it's something you're going to notice, like, I didn't mean to, but I'm totally okay with raising my prices. You know what I mean? Like it just happens because you're working at an unconscious level. That's what needs to be rewired. Not consciously what you need to do, but you can't overthink your way to do it. You've got to rewire it from the get-go.
All right. I think that definitely will help a lot of you guys who are dealing with that kind of stuff too. Something I hear a lot from just people in my community is I've had these clients for years. I don't know how to raise my prices with them. And so that's part of what we talked about there, but also a lot about that deeper, inner, darker work that is all of our programming, right? It's so important for us to do this, you guys. Your business is a reflection of how you feel inside personally. And if you continue to allow yourself to feel like crap and to put yourself last and to continue be people pleasing and to continue not having boundaries inside of your business is going to reflect that. That is what you're putting out, right? You're telling people exactly how to treat you. So it's so important to stop and look and be truly aware of what is actually going on and where your programming is coming from. Because I'm telling you guys, on the other side of that is so much good stuff you don't even know. I want you to hear that from me. I really want you to hear that once you work on this, yes, you have to maintain some stuff and you definitely, need to stay accountable and you need to keep that frequency high, right? And you need to, I'm a big believer in just, continuously learning, of course. But you do this work, there's so much freedom on the other side of it. I'm telling you, I used to really, really, really get so anxious before I had to go into any kind of ordering session. And now I get excited because it is such a beautiful way for me to finish this process with my client. I know that I'm going to guide them through it. I know that it's going to make them happy. Like I can't wait to serve them. I can't wait to show them how awesome their images are going to look in this album or on their wall and show them the possibility of what this thing that we did together, that we created together is going to look like in print. You guys, there's nothing better. So you have to reframe this. You got to reframe this, right? What's the option? The other option is just staying stuck and staying where you are, not making any money. How's that working for you, right? So I know that one was a little bit longer, but I really feel like it's very important stuff that a lot of y'all needed to hear. And that's also what's really so cool about this group coaching that I do inside of Elevate. Whether you come in at the foundation level or you join us in Evolution, because Evolution gets a Voxer channel also. And there's some fire dropped on the Voxer channel, let me tell you, on the daily basis, because I can just pop in with a voice note and totally get you back on track within seconds. But that's what's so cool about these group Zooms is that, it's not just the person who's asking the question who gets the answer. Everyone who is on the call benefits from it. Everyone can learn from each other. And it's also a great opportunity for those photographers who have been through that maybe to also step in and to help support that other person in a way, that they know because they've walked it as well. So that accountability and that, camaraderie from your peers, it's truly invaluable. That's why I really love offering this program. Okay, so our last photographer is not a super long snippet here, but she's dealing with some strategy issues, right? Because her packages, she's got 3 different packages and they include like, they're all inclusive, right? Like, so one price, like $550 would get 10 digitals and then 10 mounted prints. And then there was a middle one. And then the highest one was, I believe, around $1150. And it included like 35 digitals plus prints. And it's just a lot, right? She's including a lot for not enough. But besides the point, she's actually a really good photographer and she does a really great job with her marketing. So we talk about some of the issues that could be going on. And one of them being possibly that her clients, like it's not matching, right? She's marketing to a higher end client, but her prices don't reflect that. And we talk about the psychology behind that and why that's a problem. So this is a good one too.
So yeah, I would be looking at the pricing. And I know we kind of talked about this a little bit on your little one-on-one that you had one. I would be looking at your pricing. I would be really restructuring things a lot. You want something in your pricing. You want to position it, right? So that's why I'm a fan of having like at least 3 sort of levels or sessions or collections. There's a lot of different ways you can do it. It doesn't have to be exactly how I do it, but across the board, the highest one has to be extremely high. It has to be very, very high. It has to be an anchor. It has to be uncomfortably high, So, and you have to hold the images a little hostage, like I was saying before. So you can't be giving away that many images, right? Because people will buy what you give them. And if you're just kind of like an order taker, then they will that's how they will treat it as such. So when you do something where it's a little bit more service-based, where you go into it with this whole positioning as, I'm the pro here. I know what you need. I know what you want. And I'm going to help you get that, right? It's all about serving that client and helping them find what they want. But absolutely, I feel like having it all inclusive like that makes it very difficult for you to reach a higher level of sale, right? Because it's just easy for them to come in and your work is way too good for this. It's just way too good. And you worked way too hard at your marketing. To like your marketing, when I see your marketing looks like you make minimum $3,000 per client easily. Like really? You are one of the best marketers I've seen. And I don't say that lightly. You are consistent. You are meticulous about it. I can tell. And so you're working too hard at this to not be making enough money. I'm just going to be real with you. So, yes, when you come across your work and your marketing pieces and the content that you're putting out, it communicates that you are talking to a higher level client. So that might be also why it's not converting as well, because your prices don't match it, like I was saying before. Because when people reach out, they're like, okay, that doesn't fit, right? That there could be that. It could be that you're not specifically finding those right clients, right? And again, it's not about finding like these wealthy clients. Everybody thinks that, but it's not. Like most of us are saying, it's middle-class people who are willing to pay for the value, who are willing to pay for what you deliver. And that's what it's really about. And a lot of my clients go on payment plans. I control it. No images are delivered until they pay in full, but that is 100% one of the reasons why I'm able to make such higher sales is because I allow them, like if they're in the middle of that sales session and they're like, oh my God, I really do want an album, but I wasn't prepared to really put $3,000 down today. And I was like, no worries. You can just put your minimum down, $1,350, and then we'll break the rest up over the next 2 months. How does that sound? That sounds perfect. Okay, awesome. Done. Easy. So you make it easy for them. You know what I mean? Yeah. But I think that your pricing definitely needs to be restructured. And we can't really kind of like do a whole lot of that on this kind of call, but I would be auditing that 100%. Like if you are going to still do all inclusive, cut those images down to like maybe 5, not 10. 10's too many. If, raise that even raise that price a little bit. And then that last one is going to be, it's everything. Make it so juicy. Right? You get all the images, you get this, you get a book or whatever it is. And it's a lot of freaking money because you'll be surprised that people will actually book that. And when people start booking it, that's what's going to click off in your head that, oh, this actually could work because you need proof. You're going to find proof of whatever you believe. So once the people start buying that package, then it's time to raise it again. Because what happens is most people are going to see the high package, and one of two things will happen. You either will raise those prices and make it really uncomfortably high for you, and you'll start booking a lot of them, and you'll freak out like, oh my God, that is like a whole different conversation. That's like okay, I have to like severely increase prices again. Or what most likely will happen is that a handful of people will buy that, and most people will fall on that middle section. That middle one is where most people will go. That's what you want to drive people to. That's the drive. That's where you're pointing people to. Like, this feels better because, like, it feels not as expensive as that other one. Mm-hmm. It doesn't include as many images, but then on the other side of it, you can still sell to them. That's the idea. You still get them to a higher level. So for me, that middle section for me is like, it's a $550 session fee, $1,350 minimum. But I know that when I get them looking at their images, they want more images. They, with the way that my pricing is set up to reach their minimum, that's 10 images. They don't want just 10 images. They want at least 30 images. And the way that I have my pricing set is that it drives them so easily to that album, because that's what they want. And then I obviously work with them on the payment plan. So does that make a little sense?
Okay, so that's just a little snippet of how you want to really strategize your pricing. Again, I'm not kind of one of those educators who's going to tell you, you have to do it exactly like this. You have to charge per image, or you have to do these collections, and you can only do collections. I'm not going to do that. Yeah, I'm going to tell you how I do things. I will show you my pricing when you work with me. I will, go through this process, and I'll talk to you about the psychology behind it. I teach this inside of my course called Fearless IPS. And that's the kind of stuff that I do. I want to be transparent with the people who are, coaching with me and learning from me. But I'm not telling you that so that you can do it exactly that way. If you'd like to, I can help you. However, some people prefer to do it in a completely different structure. The point is that I want you to be profitable. The point is that I don't want you working yourself into the ground. And there are a lot of different ways you can do this. And sometimes you have to experiment with something before you can find out whether it works or not, right? Some of you guys are experiential learners, and you just got to try it out. And you know what? It may not work, but that's how you know. It's only in the contrast that you see, okay, yeah, I tried that. It didn't really work, or it didn't feel good, or whatever, So that's part of this as well. But the whole point is to say there is really no one size fits all. And anybody who tells you that isn't really telling you the truth. I'm sorry. What works for them may not work for you and your market. And that's okay. But a good coach is going to be someone who teaches you how to do something that feels good to you. They're going to help you uncover that. They're going to help you uncover what you ultimately want. Okay. And then help you strategize that. So that's really kind of the difference of working with a mentor versus a coach, because a mentor is usually going to just teach you exactly how they do it. And there can be a lot of power in that, but you kind of have to follow their way, right? A coach is a little bit more individualized. And so, yes, even inside of group, my Elevate groups, I am able to try and individualize it as much as possible. That's my goal, at least. I want it to be really, really different than anything else you can find in the photography industry. If you know anything about me, you know that I do not like to do what everybody else is doing. And I like my group coaching, Elevate, whatever level it is, I want it to be known for being really robust and very different and not like anything else. And I think that I've really been able to accomplish that so far. And most of the reason is because I work with really amazing photographers. So people who are drawn to Elevate, they already want more. They know that they want more. They know that they are ready to take some kind of action. And that's the reason I offered two different levels. The $49 foundation level is ongoing, and my evolution level is only open twice a year. And that is a higher commitment in time. It is for those photographers who are really ready to sort of dig into these pieces, who know that this is a huge priority for them, or going into 2024, it's going to be their main priority. And they are ready to, invest in themselves at a higher rate. But even at the rate that I charge for Evolution, it is, first of all, a huge value, because you get access to a lot of my courses. I mean, it's worth thousands and thousands of dollars. Like, it's ridiculous. And you can either do a pay in full or a monthly payment. It's pennies compared to what you would pay for actual one-on-one coaching. And like I said, it includes coursework as well. So you have those courses for lifetime access. It's not just for the time that you're in Elevate. It's really for those people who are ready. And so these photographers who are drawn to this, whatever level, they're such a joy to work with, because they want to be coached. They want to be better. They're there and they're very present, and I love it. So I'm very excited that I got a chance to share a little bit of that with you guys. I think that case studies are extremely powerful for people to learn from. I love a good case study, and I'd love to have more of them on the podcast, but I feel like this was a really good sort of fly on the wall for you to see what some of these calls could actually look like too, especially if you're considering joining Elevate, because Evolution is open now. It will only be open until January 7th, and then it's going to close again for another 6 months. Like I said, it's only open twice a year, and it's limited to only 25 photographers. I limit that higher level because we do have that Voxer thread, and it is a little bit more intensive. So first of all, I really want to know that the photographers drawn to that level are really, showing up and doing the work with us, and they're going to be supportive of each other as well. And I know that I give a lot of myself to that higher level because I want to be more present. Again, I like to go a little bit more above and beyond than what you would expect a group coaching experience to look like. So I know my capacity, and that's why I have to limit it to 25. I already have about half of that filled. So if you are interested, I would go ahead and sign up ASAP. The link is going to be in the bio for the show down there. The page there that's linked is going to have all the information that you need. But as always, please reach out and chat with me on Instagram. Shoot me a DM at Renee Bowen. Let me know if you have any questions and what specifically they are. And I will definitely help you out as much as I can. And I'd love to see you inside of Elevate with us. And I'm just so excited about 2024, you guys. Like, I'm so ready to say goodbye to 2023. I know we are off to the races for bigger and better. I just know it. So with that, I'm going to sign off for today. I hope you guys have a phenomenal rest of your week, and that you are hopefully slowing down for the holiday season and are going to be able to enjoy yourselves this holiday season, however you celebrate. If you do, I'm wishing you well, sending you lots of love, lots of light, and I'll talk to you next time.